Hey beautiful beaders, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today we're going to be making this cascading cup chain ring. This is a great way to use up scraps, especially scraps of cup chain. You only need about 2 inches of cup chain. This is 2mm size, and each of these have 8 rhinestones. You'll need 2 strips. You'll also need 5 of these little 4mm fire polish beads and then some 11/0 seed beads. Besides those items, of course, you'll need a size 10 beading needle and approximately 5 feet of beading thread. I'll be using the 0.006 inch Fireline. That is my go-to thread, but you use whatever you like to use. And then, of course, you'll need some scissors and possibly some cutters to clip your cup chain. So first what you'll want to do is you'll want to go ahead and put your beading thread on your needle, and the first step is making this top portion of the ring. We want to join the 2 pieces of cup chain together with this sequence of beads in the middle, the fire polish, with some seed beads in the center. So this is going to be the most difficult portion of the whole thing, is just working with these small pieces. Once that's done, the project should go pretty fast. Let's start out in the center of our ring. We have, like I said, 8 different rhinestones on each of these segments, which means we have 7 sections in between the cup chain. We're going to be putting on a 4mm fire polish right in between these sections right here, so we have 4 rhinestones on each side. Go ahead and pick up one of your 4mm fire polish beads and pull it down towards your tail. And leave yourself about a 5 or 6 inch tail, something you can weave back in later. And at this point, what you want to do is just get the positioning correct. So you want to lay out your fire polish bead tail thread over here, and then take your 2 strips of cup chain and lay them across the top of your beading thread. Then you're going to take the side with your needle and go back through, this time going over the top of this empty portion of the cup chain, going through the 4mm, and you may need to hold these with your forefinger, and then also go over the top segment of your other cup chain on the other side. I'm just going to hold these down while I pull my needle through. This is kind of the same principle as when you're like beading on a loom, but once this part gets situated, it'll be a little bit easier. So our thread is on the top of this portion of the cup chain. Now I'm going to go underneath the cup chain, through the 4mm, and underneath the cup chain again, holding everything together with my forefinger while I pull the thread slowly and make sure that this loop of my thread catches that piece of cup chain right there in between the 4 rhinestones. Once you've done that, you can pull, and if the cup chain wants to turn a little bit, that's normal. Just keep positioning it back where you want it with the rhinestones facing up. Now that you have your center fire polish bead in place, it'll be a little bit easier for you going forward. This time we want to place 3 of your seed beads right next to that fire polish in this section of the cup chain. So pick up 3 of your seed beads, pull them down towards your work. And right now my thread's coming out underneath the cup chain, so I'm just going to position my thread this time over top of the cup chain at first to do this section with 3 seed beads. So again, thread's just going right over the top, ending with my thread over the top of that empty section of the cup chain. I'm going to swing my needle around, and I'm going to go under that little bar, through the 3 seed beads, and under this next bar, making sure that that loop back there gets caught on that bar in between the next 2 rhinestones. So take your time with this, because it may not automatically sit where you want it to sit. And then with your thread currently coming out under this bar, go over top of that bar, go through your 3 seed beads again, and this time pass along the top of the other bar and pull your thread, again making sure your loop catches on this bar back here, so you'll want to take your time. So this is what we have so far, and now we're ready to put on another fire polish. So pick one of those up and pull it down. My thread is placed on top of this bar. I'm going to position my fire polish in my next spot, but this time bringing my thread underneath that cup chain. and also underneath this piece of cup chain. Now, just like we did before, we're going to bring our thread over top and go through the 4mm and then over top of that other bar of cup chain. So this time going over the top, I'm going to hold this with my thumb and my forefinger while I pull and make sure the loop catches on the bar of that cup chain. So that's what we have so far, and we're going to do the same thing where we're going to bring our thread underneath with 3 more seed beads and place those right to the right of this 4mm fire polish. Alright, so I picked up 3 seed beads. My thread is going over top of this bar at the moment. I want this thread to swing under this bar of the cup chain and bring my 3 seed beads right next to our last 4mm. Bring the thread from under the last gap in our cup chain and go through those seed beads very carefully. And pass over that last gap in our cup chain, this time swinging underneath the cup chain, going back through the 3 seed beads we just put on, and also underneath the last rhinestone of the cup chain, gently pulling and making sure this loop catches in that last space between those last 2 rhinestones. Just like that. Now let's go ahead and just reinforce this since we're here. I'm going to swing my thread back up and around and over top of the 2 cup chain segments, also going through the 3 seed beads and pulling that. I'm going to also swing down and around that last segment again and underneath the last segment on the other side and catch another loop on the cup chain in between those last 2 rhinestones. So right now I'm coming out from underneath this piece of cup chain. I'm going to go over the top of the next empty section and go through that 4mm bead. And don't worry if your rhinestones want to turn a little bit at this point. You'll have time to position them better as you go. I'm going to go underneath the bar in this section again, and underneath the bar in this section, also going through that fire polish, catching another loop right in between those 2 rhinestones, and then I'm going to go up through the 4mm again. So we're just reinforcing these beads, making sure that they're in position and they're really going to stay where we want. So I'm coming out over top of this bar and I'm going to go underneath in my next section to start out. Went underneath that bar, through the 3 seed beads, and underneath the other bar, and just making sure my loop doesn't get caught on the prongs of the rhinestone. And I'm going to go up and over and through these seed beads one more time, this time positioning my needle over the top and catching that loop back here on the bar again. My thread's positioned at the top of this bar. I'm going to go underneath the next section through the fire polish and also underneath this side of the cup chain. Catch my loop again, not on a prong, but just around the bar. And wrap my needle up and over and through the 4mm and over top of the top section of cup chain. And pull that thread and loop it around the bar, not around a prong. Alright, so now I'm just going to turn this because it's easier for me to work this way as a right-handed person, and I'm going to be repeating those steps for this side of the cup chain. So do the exact same thing we just did and finish out this side, and we will meet back and continue on with the next steps. Alright, so this is what your piece should look like so far, and now we're going to flip it over and we're going to work a little bit from the back side. What we want to do is we want to get our needle to a point where it's coming out of one of these 4mm fire polish. So turn back around and just go through one of those fire polish beads, and then pick up 3 of your seed beads and head down the fire polish directly next to where you are, just like that, and pull your thread. Now pick up 3 more seed beads And go through the next fire polish on the same side, being careful that you keep all the beads that you're adding on the back of this cup chain. Don't get your needle over onto the other side. Now pick up 3 more seed beads. My thread was coming out of that end. Now head down in the other direction through that middle 4mm fire polish, putting 3 seed beads right there between those two, and now we're ready to put 3 more right in between these two. So pick up 3 more seed beads. And finally, go through that last 4mm fire polish. And that's what you should have. 3 seed beads in between these on this side and 3 seed beads in between these fire polish on the other side. Now we're going to be looping around the seed beads we just added. I'm going to move these out of the way, and we're going to pick up 5 seed beads. And by the way, I forgot to mention that I already wove in my tail thread. I just wanted to get it out of the way for the video. You're welcome to do that now if you want, or you can wait till the end. It's up to you. But I already wove it in and knotted it off. All right, going back to the piece, coming out of this fire polish, I picked up 5 more seed beads. And now I'm going to go directly through those 6 seed beads we just added on this side. You see it's going to add a little loop of seed beads just like that. Now we're going to add on 5 more seed beads and make a loop on this side by going through the 6 seed beads on this side. And go through 1 more seed bead of that grouping of 5 that you had already added to your other side. And there you go. So now we're ready to add on another fire polish on this side. Head down through these 3 seed beads right here. These are going to kind of be making a new stripe next to your next 4mm fire polish. So go down those 3 on that side. Pick up another 4mm and then loop back around through those 3 seed beads again in the opposite direction and pull. And you can see that positioned our next 4mm right there. Now let's continue on down this side one more time. Just like we did before, go through all 6 of the seed beads on that side plus 1 more. Now go through these 3 seed beads on the end, making our new little stripe there. And add on your last or your 5th 4mm. Swing around and go through those 3 seed beads one more time. And that pops your 4mm into place on that side. Now go through the 4mm just like that. And pick up 6 more seed beads. And go through the 4mm again from the opposite direction, making another loop around your 4mm. Go back through those 6 seed beads you just added, pick up 2 more seed beads, and go through this entire side of seed beads right here. It's going to be a total of 8. Go through all those. Then head down through these 3 seed beads on this side. Go up through the fire polish bead, pick up 6 seed beads, go back through the fire polish bead in the opposite direction, and go through all of those seed beads one more time. Pick up 2 more seed beads. Head down this entire side, consisting of 8 seed beads, and pull. Pick up 2 more seed beads to fill in this gap, and go through the ones that are surrounding your fire polish. Keep going all the way around through all the seed beads again, and as you pull, your piece should start to curve slightly, and that's what you want. Continue through all the seed beads on this side. And you have one more gap to fill in, so pick up 2 more and then continue on through those seed beads that are surrounding your fire polish. And that's going to join everything together in one loop. Keep going around, going through all your seed beads till you get to the one before where you started that loop of 6. So I'm coming out right there, pull, then I'm going to flip over my work, and we're going to be joining this loop with the top set of 3 seed beads. So coming out of this one right here, pick up 2 seed beads, and then go through the middle seed bead of this last row of 3, and pop those in right there. And then to make it symmetrical, pick up 2 more seed beads, and bring your needle down to that first seed bead next to the fire polish down there on that bottom row where you had started that loop of 6 seed beads that went around the fire polish, and pop those 2 right into place kind of in front of this cup chain. Now continue around your seed bead loop here around that fire polish. Swinging around to the left side, coming out right where you had added those first 2 seed beads. And you're going to pop a seed bead right in between that spot. So pick one up and go through the 2 seed beads that you had just added. This is going to give the side of your ring more of a pointed shape like you see there. Now we're going to be placing 1 seed bead right here on the top center, so pick one more up. And then go down through the other 2 seed beads you had just added. Position that so it's kind of sticking up there at the top. And it's framing our fire polish, and now we're going to be picking up 1 more seed bead and heading back through those 6 seed beads again in that loop around the fire polish. So again, those seed beads just gave that more of a pointed shape and framed out that last fire polish there nicely. And we're going to go around and we're going to go through our seed beads to get to the other side so we can complete the same steps on the other side. Before we complete the other side in the same manner, we want to go through these seed beads again. I'm just going through those bottom 2 right there, not the one that we popped in later. And we want to really tack down this cup chain. Now I'm heading up through these 2, kind of right below that last rhinestone there. And make sure your cup chain is facing up, it's not facing off to the side. And take your thread and position it right in between those 2 rhinestones, like that, and then kind of swing it around and go through this seed bead here right next to the one that was sticking up on the top. Skip over the one that's sticking up on the top and go directly through the next seed bead. And then you want to give this side of your cup chain just an extra little tack down. So coming out of that seed bead right there, take your thread just in your fingers and get it to lay right in between those last 2 rhinestones. Trying your best not to get it hung up on one of the prongs or anything. And then you see where your thread is, just go down through the seed beads underneath, heading in the other direction so you can start to complete the next steps around the other side of your ring and around the other fire polish. So like we did before, I'm coming out of this seed bead right here before that loop of 6. I'm going to add on 2 more seed beads, go through the middle seed bead of this last line of 3 here, put those into place. Just keep positioning your cup chain so it's facing up. I'm going to pick up 2 more seed beads and head back down this way, starting at the seed beads right next to that fire polish in that loop. And just positioning our cup chain right before those seed beads. Now I'm going to continue through the loop around, through those next 2 seed beads, pick up 1 seed bead and go through the 2 that we had just added. Pick up another seed bead and go through these 2 that we just added. And pick up 1 more seed bead and then go through the loop of 6 again. right around here, and then we want to position ourselves underneath that last rhinestone so that we can secure it a little bit better. So skipping over that seed bead that's sticking up, just going through this way, I'm going to head through these two right here, right underneath that last rhinestone. And I'm going to physically take my thread and loop it around that space in between the cup chain. Go through the seed bead that's next to the one that's sticking up in the center that we had just added, and pull that nice and tight. And then skip over the one that's sticking up in the center, go through the next one, pull it nice and tight. And again, I want to physically place my beading thread in between the last two rhinestones there to make sure that part of our cup chain stays facing up and in position. And then I'm going to head back down this way through some of these seed beads that are on the side. And I'm coming out of this seed bead that's right underneath the last rhinestone. I want to secure it again. I'm going up and over the bar in between, and I'm going to go through that stripe of 3 seed beads right next to the fire polish, making sure the cup chain gets caught in the loop, continuing on through that 3rd seed bead. And before we work on our band, we're just going to tack this down a little bit more. I know it's a lot of going around and around, but it's really going to make a difference, keeping our cup chain in place and everything together. It will be worth it. So I'm coming out of the seed bead right before this stripe of 3 seed beads here, and we're just tacking everything together still, catching that cup chain. You see there's a little bit of looseness here between the cup chain and the seed beads. Bringing my thread over the cup chain, but making sure the cup chain is positioned facing up. I'm going to go through the seed bead that I get to below that stripe where I'm coming out, and go through about 3 more seed beads down there, and pull, and head up and over the cup chain and through this stripe of 3 right here. And then I'm just going to go through the next 4 seed beads, catching that cup chain right there. And that just helped us to tack down the cup chain again to reinforce it against that seed bead base. The more you reinforce it, the more secure your ring will be. Alright, so here's a look at the top so far, and we're just going to continue on down this loop here, and this is where we're going to start doing some herringbone stitch to create the band of our ring. So find your center 2 seed beads right here in your original loop of 6, which should be centered right below your fire polish. And coming out one side of the 2, you want to pick up 2 more seed beads, and then you'll loop around and go back through those 2 that are in the center, and pull, and that popped 2 seed beads on top of those. Now I'm coming out of this one right here. I'm going to go up through this seed bead that we just added, down through the other seed bead, and then through those 2 at the base of our loop one more time. Now heading back up through the one we just added and picking up 2 more seed beads, going down through the one on the right, and then back up the 2 on the left. And we're going to continue this. You'll continue as long as you need to, depending on how wide your ring needs to be. Going back down that right seed bead, swinging over and going up through the 2 on the left, picking up 2 more seed beads, going down through the seed bead on the right, and going up through the 2 on the left. And continue making your strip as long as you want. I'm going to be doing about 20 rows for myself personally, and my ring size is about a 7.5, I believe, if that helps you out at all. And then we'll meet back after you've done as many rows as you'd like to pull this all together and take a look at our finished ring. Alright, so I have my strip as long as I need it, and I'm going to wrap it around swing it around over to this side. And depending on which of these two seed beads you're coming out, that'll depend on where you need to join your piece. Since I'm coming out of this one right here, I'm going to be going through this side. These are the two center seed beads on this side of my ring, so I'm going to just pull those right together there. And to make it seamless, I'm going to go through my herringbone stitch on this side and join those together. I went through about 4 seed beads. I'm going to go directly across to the seed bead next to that and head back down those 4. And I'm going to go through this 2 seed beads right here once again. And I'm going to go up through these 3. This is just how I'm choosing to secure my piece. You can go through the entire herringbone once again if you'd like to. And going through these 2 again. This time going through just these 2. Back around through these 2. And through these 2 again. This time I'm going to go back through quite a few of my herringbone. And I'm going to make a little half hitch knot right here in between these 2 beads. And go through quite a few more seed beads and make another little half hitch knot just like that. Go through the rest of them to get to the other side. Go through these 2 on this side again. Go through, say, the first 4, turn around, go through these 2 again, go through quite a few. So I'm just reinforcing this because the band will get pulled a little bit as I'm taking the ring on and off. I want to make sure that I've gone through these beads a couple of times and made several knots to make sure that the band is extra secure. So however you feel comfortable doing that, go ahead. I have made a full 3 knots. I'm going to clip off my thread right at the bead. And here is the completed ring on my finger. I hope yours turned out beautifully as well. As a reminder, I will leave the links below to where you can find all these materials and more to complete a ring just like this. Feel free to leave me a question or comment down below. Let me know what color combination you used, how it turned out for you, or anything else you'd like to say. Until next time, I want to thank you so much for being with me for another tutorial. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and as always, happy beading. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. For more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. You can check out the information section below this video for links to all my social media handles, recommended products, and my shop and blog at orchidandopal.com. Thanks for watching.